So the egg decides, and she has a very strong boundary against that which is not for her. And yet she is very open and receptive to that which is for her, and she lets it in. And when the sperm enters the egg and the fertilization process is happening, the egg actually has the ability to improve and repair the DNA of the sperm if there's something wrong with it. That is the feminine principle at work. The feminine enhances everything it touches. Welcome to Plenty. I'm your host, Kate Northrup, and together we are going on a journey to help you have an incredible relationship with money, time, and energy, and to have abundance on every possible level. Every week, we're going to dive in with experts and insights to help you unlock a life of plenty. Let's go fill our cups. Hi, welcome back to the series we're doing on expanding your financial peace, prosperity, and pleasure. We're talking about being good with money, feeling good with money, and doing good with money. It's a triple whammy, and we are on episode 6 of this series. So if you're just tuning in, welcome. All of these episodes can absolutely stand alone, but if you want to get the best result possible for your abundance and expansion, I would listen to all of them for sure. But you don't have to go back today. Just listen to this one, then you can go back. So today we're talking about feminine energy and the feminine energy of financial leadership. Now, we live in a patriarchy. I'm not going to bang this drum too much today because I am about the possibility and growth and collective healing and evolution. However, what is true is for thousands of years, women have been kept out of financial power on purpose by governments, monarchies, corporations, all sorts of oppressive systems. Those systems aren't necessarily inherently oppressive, but that's what's been going on. And so we can have this false idea that money then somehow and financial stewardship and financial leadership are not feminine. But that's wrong. That is completely wrong. And there's always a way to do anything that's in alignment with the truth of who we are. Now, my framework is that we all have feminine energy and masculine energy, no matter what our gender identity. And for many women in our community, we resonate with this feeling of having been overly developed in our masculine doing linear nature and being underdeveloped in our feminine surrender and receptivity. That's because we live in a culture that overemphasizes visible results, getting things done, getting visible traction, and solar energy, which is springtime energy, starting things, and summertime energy, which is launching things. So the business world, the world of commerce, the work world, and anything having to do with productivity is very focused on what did you get done? Oh, I have so much more to get done. Oh, I haven't gotten the visible results yet. I'm somehow falling behind because I haven't been checking the boxes or I'm not climbing the ladder. And we gauge someone's success on these external awards for achievement, these external ideas of what it means to be valuable based on, the Forbes 40 under 40 list or the Inc 500 list or the Academy Awards or whatever external thing is like basically somebody else or some other committee of people taking their stamp of approval and deeming you valuable and worthy. So just so we are clear, all of that is pretend. It is all a hologram. And the only way we're ever going to feel worthy and fully whole and enough is going to be sourced from within. No amount of accolades, awards, Ivy League degrees, zeros at the end of your paycheck or revenue, or like any kind of being on any list is ever going to make you feel sustainably like you are enough, like you are lovable, like you are worthy. Now, that being said, right? So I just want to say that. And our hyper masculine culture has overly identified us with those things that are external. But the feminine is the invisible. The feminine is that which can be felt, but not necessarily seen. The feminine is a feeling. So the masculine is a doing. The feminine is a feeling. I just want to be super clear. There's nothing wrong with masculine energy. I love masculine energy. I have a lot of masculine energy in the way I operate in the world. I love my masculine. I also love my masculine, dominant, leading husband. And I love it when he's in that energy because it helps me to fully surrender and relax. That being said, the invitation that I have for you, if you are someone who's wanting to lean more into their feminine energy, their receptivity, the exhale, the part of you that wants to feel safe and held and like you don't have to do it all, then this next part is for you. So what I want to say is, number one, our bodies were all designed with an innate blueprint for feminine leadership. And this innate blueprint I've talked about here on the podcast before, but just in case you're new here and you haven't heard it before, it is called egg wisdom. And egg wisdom I learned about from my mom, Dr. Christian Northrup. I also wrote a chapter about it in my book, Do Less. So if you want to learn more, go check out my book, Do Less. And here's how egg wisdom works. So egg wisdom is the biological blueprint for feminine magnetism and feminine leadership. And this applies no matter what anatomy you have, because this is how your body was formed. I don't care who you are, every single one of our bodies came from the following thing happening. There was a human in their reproductive years, and that human ovulated. And at the time of ovulation, an egg gets released from the ovary, and that egg releases an energetic hormonal signal. So the egg is like hanging out by the ovaries, up at the top of the fallopian tubes on the edge there. And it is sending out a signal, and it is saying, hey, I'm here. And that signal is energetic and hormonal, and it can be felt all the way down through the uterus at the cervix, where if the sperm is showing up that particular month at the time of ovulation, the sperm can feel the hormonal signal, and the egg's signal actually has the ability to speed up the rate at which the sperm swims to her. So the egg puts out a signal, but she sits in trust that her desire is on its way to her if it is meant for her that at that time. And her clear signal, her clear desire, and her trust has the ability to speed up the rate at which the desire swims to her, which is so cool. Now, once the sperm shows up, you know, at sex ed, when you watch those videos, is you see all those sperm like banging their head against the egg wall. It looks like the strongest sperm wins, but actually what's happening is the egg is choosing which sperm she wants to let in, which is so cool. So the egg decides, and she has a very strong boundary against that which is not for her, and yet she is very open and receptive to that which is for her, and she lets it in. And when the sperm enters the egg and the fertilization process is happening, the egg actually has the ability to improve and repair the DNA of the sperm if there's something wrong with it. That is the feminine principle at work. The feminine enhances everything it touches. It brings the throw pillows. It adds in a floral arrangement. It makes everything more beautiful, more nourishing, more yummy, more delicious, because the feminine asks the question, what is worth living for? The masculine asks the question, what is worth dying for? And so when that sperm comes in and now we have a fertilized egg and possibly the egg has repaired the sperm's DNA, now the egg also has the nutrients to feed both the sperm and the egg for several days as it makes its journey down the fallopian tube all the way down into the uterus, where it can then embed into the uterine lining, which is its next source of nutrients through the gestation period. And so that is also the feminine at work. The nutrienting, the bringing the extra resources to improve upon, to feed, to make us feel safe, to make people feel like, oh, it's okay for me to stay here. Like someone's going to feed me. Someone's going to take care of me. That's also the feminine at play. And so what have we learned from this? Oh, there's one more thing, actually. And a wonderful woman at a recent speaking gig I did gave me this last piece. And she is someone who had experienced pregnancy loss. And so she found my discussion of egg wisdom triggering, and I understand that. And then she brought in this additional piece of wisdom, which I'm so grateful for. So this is officially part of egg wisdom now. And that is the following. The feminine principle, the feminine also knows when to let go when something is not viable. The feminine knows when to say, this isn't going to work out, and to let things pass through and go back to the earth, back into the grand pot of fertilizer, of compost to create new life. And I thought that piece was really beautiful. So what we have learned today about the feminine principle is the following. The feminine puts out a clear signal. She trusts that what she desires is on her way to her, and she does not need to run all over kingdom come and make a million phone calls and go out and do a million things in order to make it happen. She puts out a clear signal. She sits, she waits in trust. That signal tells her desire where she is. It actually speeds up the rate at which her desire comes to her. She has a great, strong boundary for what is not for her, but she is very receptive and open to that which is a fit for her desire. She has the ability to improve upon the desire when it shows up. She brings snacks and nutrients for the full journey all the way down, and she knows when it's time to let go. So, how can you apply that to your financial life? What is your clear desire? What are your boundaries? What are you available for? What are you not available for? Is there any way in which you are blocking what is for you because it doesn't feel safe to receive? Now, for those of us who have wounding around the masculine, and this is something I personally have worked on for years. My friend Terry Cole is working on a book about daddy issues, and I was honored to be interviewed for this book because so many of us have wounding around the masculine, whether it's just the masculine in our culture, from a work environment, from some sort of authority environment, from our own fathers, and the ways in which the wounded masculine has impacted us. And the wounded masculine can create a situation in which we show up in our wounded feminine. And our wounded feminine looks like collapse, dissociation, hysteria, though there's nothing wrong with feeling your feelings, over blame, and victimization. So, and many other things, but those are some examples. And so it's up to us not to expect, again, the world around us to change, but to simultaneously call in what we desire, ask more of the world while shifting our internal environment, while shifting our own signal. And that's the work of stepping into our wise feminine where we are building the structures to feel safe and supported inside our nervous system, inside our somatic body, and then also on the 3D front in our financial systems. One of the most powerful ways that you can support yourself to step into your wise, receptive feminine around your financial leadership is to build safety in your nervous system so you feel good with money, so you are good with money, and so that you can do good with money, and to create solid, easeful financial systems so you have that structure to hold you and your money for peak feminine flow. Now, is setting up structures and systems a bit more of a masculine activity? Yeah, it is. And you know what? Each of us needs to create the internal marriage of the masculine and the feminine in order to be in our fullest expression as humans. This is not about you getting all your needs met for the masculine externally. When you build it inside yourself, you're able to freaking relax and exhale. You know, years ago, Mike and I, we've had this dance going on for years that we don't fall into the trap very often anymore. But years ago, we were like constantly in the trap. And the trap was the following. I had a wound around not feeling supported, not feeling held, not feeling taken care of, had to do, you know, with my upbringing. Mike had a wound around feeling like he was never enough. And I would end up feeling unsupported, which would make him feel like he wasn't enough. And then he would end up feeling like he wasn't enough, which would make me feel unsupported. And that was a really ugly dance that made us both not get our needs met for years. One day, I remember so clearly, we had these big couches. We had a big living room and at the time, and we were sitting across from each other on our couches in the living room. We insisted on buying white couches for years, even though we had small children. It was fully insane. So anyway, we're sitting on the couches. We were probably sitting 6 feet from each other, but it felt like we were sitting 6 miles from each other. I was just like so mad at him. And in that moment, because of doing some internal family systems work, some of which I share inside Relaxed Money, some of these processes that I learned over time, I went inside and I did a process that I do. And I realized that because I didn't have the circuitry to even recognize support when it showed up because of the way my nervous system developed, there was nothing Mike could ever do to make me feel supported. Like no matter how much he showed up, no matter how many times he took out the trash, no matter how much safety and how many systems and how much he was holding the logistics of our life, which by the way, he could have been spending morning until night, all day, every day, handling everything. And I still was not going to feel supported because I didn't have the receptor sites internally to feel supported. So that was an example where I had an incredibly capable man operating in his masculine, often showing up, supporting me in like beautifully healthy masculine ways. And I could not feel it. I couldn't even be aware. I was not even aware of all of the ways he was supporting me because my own circuitry was lacking in that area. So I needed to do my own work over time to begin to build the circuitry, the internal match for safety and security, for feeling held from the inside with my relationship with my nervous system, the earth, Mother Nature, the great mother, the great father. I did a lot of different practices daily, tapping into those greater sources of support with a capital S source. And then, wouldn't you believe it? All of a sudden, I could feel all the ways that I was already held and supported by Mike, that I was already held and supported externally. But I couldn't see those things. Those things were not apparent to me until I did that internal work. So what I'm saying here around the internal marriage of the masculine and the feminine is if you're someone who wants to be more fully expressed in their feminine and feel more relaxed and feel more luscious and feel more juicy and feel more open and receptive and more trusting and surrendered, one of the ways you can do that is actually by expressing your healthy masculine, not your wounded masculine, where you have to hold it all together and do everything to be a good girl or good boy and get that external, stamp of approval and those gold stars, but your healthy masculine, the part of all of us that wants to allow people to feel held and safe in our presence, to be able to hold safe space. And you can set up your financial systems from that place. And you can build nervous system capacity to feel safe with money from that place. And when you do, there are so many chances for feminine surrender all throughout your life. And the flow of money, the flow of abundance in all sorts of forms begins to open up in a much bigger way, because now there is that masculine support. There is that masculine structure in order to allow you to feel held and safe. The feminine flow requires the masculine structure and support. And the good news is you do not have to wait for a single thing to change or for a single person to show up externally in order for you to experience the beautiful marriage of both. So I hope this gets you excited about all the possibilities for the exhale in your financial life and inspires you to take some steps around expanding your feminine energy in your financial leadership, whether it's in your personal life, in your business, or both. So that was episode 6 in our financial expansion series. And we are coming in with episode 7, which will be our final episode in this series. And it is about the key lessons that we learned in the last year while expanding our business to nearly 3 million in revenue and over 30% profit margins. And I'm really excited to share those behind the scenes lessons with you in the next episode. See you then. Once a year, I teach a money workshop that is an absolute game changer for ambitious humans who are ready to not only make good money, which they may already do, but also to feel good with money, be good with money, and do good with money. So if that's you, if you are ready to heal your relationship with money, if you're ready to have rock solid financial systems that allow you to feel held and receptive and in flow, and if you are ready to unlock the abundance that really wants to pour into your life, join me for Good with Money. This only happens once a year, and you can reserve your spot over at katenorthrup.com/good. This is your time. Your financial power and ease await. Join us at katenorthrup.com/good.